Good evening and welcome to Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for December 11, 2017. As we move forward with our meeting, this time if you have a cell phone, please place it on vibrate or turn it off. Also, if you wish to speak in favor or in opposition of a petition, address from the podium, state your name and your address. Any other housekeeping issues we'll address as they arise. We'll have a public hearing and then open up to the board for their input and questions. Beginning tonight under continued business, ZB 2017-44, for a variance, Vanessa Masterson, 1180 Middlesex Street, and 35715 Canton Street. The applicant is requesting to subdivide the property into 2 lots and is seeking a variance under section 5.1 for land area per dwelling unit and any other relief that is required by the City of Lowell zoning ordinance. The subject property is located in a traditional 2-family zoning district. Good evening.
Good evening, Vanessa Masterson. So at the last meeting, the board wanted to see the parking layout on both proposed lot A and B. Proposed lot A, which is a single-family dwelling, requires 2 parking spaces per the bylaws. As the drawings will show, lot A has 2 parking spaces on the northern side just before the proposed lot line, which is existing, and there's an additional single parking spot on the southeast corner of the dwelling. And on proposed lot B is a 4-family dwelling, and pursuant to the bylaws, 8 parking spaces are required per dwelling unit. As shown on the drawing, there are 4 parking spaces on the northeast side of the dwelling along Middlesex Street, and there's another 4 parking spaces on the southeast corner of the dwelling just before the proposed lot line. There is 3 additional parking spaces on the eastern side along Canton Street. All parking spots shown are all pre-existing. So I think that meets the requirement of what the board was seeking at the last hearing.
Thank you. Anything else to add at this time?
Nothing further at this
Straightforward.
time.
Okay, thank you. This time I'd like to open the hearing up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Opposition? Opposition. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. We'll open up to the board members. Mark?
If in fact the additional parking spaces that we spoke of at the previous meeting have been addressed, my visit to the site indicates to me that it would be appropriate. And as a result, I would approve such a plan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of questions, but I also am very happy to see the modification to the plan here that shows more than adequate parking for the 2 separate properties. I think last time we spoke of the single-family house
Yes.
as a condition that it remain as a single-family house. That
We're
one
fine with
piece.
that.
I'd like to kind of see that remain as a condition, if that, my other board members support that. And also in the comments, there's mention of a fence that would be installed to separate the parking areas. I don't know if you were aware of that,
The lot lines?
the lot lines?
Yep.
Is that something that you can accept as well?
As well, yes.
I'd like to kind of see that as a condition as well. But I agree, I think that this makes a lot of sense. The site certainly is large enough to support the off-street parking, and you've been able to provide that, so I'm happy to see that.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. I share the same sentiments as my fellow board members. Thank you very much for coming back and providing us with these updated plans to show where the parking was. There was some obvious concerns at the last meeting because they didn't really space out where the parking was. And I too would probably be in favor of the conditions that Dennis had mentioned as well with regards to the house in Lot A remaining, proposed Lot A remaining single-family, and I think it said lot line too, the same lot line? Yeah, the lot line as proposed.
Separates
So,
the
yeah.
lots.
Yes, so,
Okay.
thank you, I wish you the best of luck, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sean Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with my colleagues. I think that the parking requirements have been met. So thank you for working with the board and with the planning department. And, I'm also in favor of the conditions of my colleagues as well. So overall, I think I can support this. So wish you the best of luck, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Van. Philip?
Well, thank you for coming again.
Thank you.
The conditions are met, so I guess it's okay to go ahead. That's it.
Thank you, Philip. Well, as you heard from the board members, they're supporting your petition with the conditions. We appreciate you going back to the drawing board and reconfiguring this out so we're able to move forward with a good package and a compromise. And that being said, any other comments or concerns or conditions from any board member?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I just want to reference the memo sent earlier today by Christine McCall. I think one concern from Development Services is having a condition that it remain a single family, which is in a two-family district, could be almost a regulatory taking, and we kind of almost want to avoid that. They would have to go back to the Zoning Board of Appeals to make it a two-family for a variance for frontage. So we feel that that would be enough for the project to go forward, or to have to reapply for the board and for the board to consider, if they wanted to approve that variance or that request.
Very well. Any other? Seems to make sense. Are you in agreement with that, ma'am?
I am.
Yes. Okay. So just as a matter of record, Patrick will reference the memorandum from DPD as part of the record and part of the condition for stipulation. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Any other comments or concerns from any board members?
So we had accept revised plans, accept the comments of...
Thank you. At this time, I'd seek a motion.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZB 2017-44 for property located at 1180 Middlesex Street, also 35715 Canton Street. Applicant is Vanessa Masterson. Variance for subdivision of the property into two lots and a variance under section 5.1 for land area per dwelling unit with the following conditions. First is to accept the revised plans that were recently submitted. Doesn't have an updated date on it, but the most recent revised plans that were recently submitted showing the parking layout. Second is to accept the comments of DPD, the revised comments of DPD dated December 11th, 2017. And third is to place, that the fence will be placed on the lot line as laid out in the revised plans.
Correct.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second?
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with conditions?
Member Peck,
Approve of conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve with conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Briere,
Approved with conditions.
Member Gemino.
Approve with conditions.
Thank you. You've been approved by the board. We wish the best of luck.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. Moving on to our next matter of business under continued business, ZB 2017-45, a special permit and variance, the Daily Group LLC, 205 Borica Street. The applicant is seeking special permit and variance approval for the construction of a 3 single-family dwelling structure at 205 Billerica Street. The subject property is located in a suburban multifamily zoning district and requires a special permit approval under Section 12.1C and a variance approval under Section 5.1 for front yard setback and any other relief required of the Lowell zoning ordinance.
Good evening, Chairman.
Good evening.
For the record, my name is Matt Hammer with Lamplex Engineering and Surveying. We're located up at 10 George Street here in Lowell. This evening, we're here before the board to request a variance for the front setback on Billerica Street, as well as a special permit to allow 3 single-family homes on a lot meeting the 10,000 square feet per land area per dwelling unit requirement. I'm here on behalf of the Daly Group. I know Mr. Daly will be attending tonight's meeting tonight. He's downstairs at an event, and he'll be up shortly. So we are here to redevelop the existing property at 205 Billerica Street. There's an existing single-family dwelling here, a garage, and 2 garages, actually. It's opposite of Clifton Street, and down at the end is where Denton Street comes and meets Billerica Street, and then this is the Concord River here. We've had the wetlands delineated by a wetlands botanist. Those wetlands are shown here, as well as the riverfront bank to the Concord River. So on the plan, there's some buffer zones on the existing conditions plan, which pertain to a 25-foot riverfront protection area, a 100-foot buffer zone to the wetlands, as well as a bordering land subject to flooding to the 100-year floodplain associated with the river. And those setbacks are here. We've also gone out to the site and we've performed some subsurface soil testing. Those test pits are on the plan and the results of those tests. And the terrain slopes from here back to the river, approximately 6 foot in elevation difference from the road to the river. So I provided a handout, which is essentially the layout sheet for the project. And on this just kind of simplifies the main drive that would be coming in here, the location of 3 single-family dwellings that is shown in brown. And what we've done is we've brought the driveway in so we could come around to the rear in order to get suitable parking for each of the units. So in doing that, we wanted to do 2 things. One is to, if need be, turn a vehicle around if needed. And secondly, to have clearly 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit. We're also ensuring that the project is 50 feet away from the wetland, which is a zoning criteria per the zoning ordinance. These are the 3 dwellings. This is the drive. We have sewer and water out on Billerica Street. We provided the elevations and the floor plans for all 3 of the buildings, but essentially they're the same in the way that this is the front elevation with a bay window going first and second story, a covered front entranceway, the 4 dormers coming off of the front of the building, also adding overhangs on the side elevations and molding around all the window trim. A garage door here, and all of the units will have a rear deck coming off the back and a rear entranceway. Looking at it from the street, essentially each unit is mirrored on the 2 in the front. And then in the 1 in the rear, we'll have the driveway coming in the front, which would be slightly different than the 2 out on the street. So what we did was, we took a look at the existing structure, which had a setback of 11.7 feet. And then what we did is we took an analysis of all the other buildings on the street itself. And we have 14 feet, 20 feet, 13, 7, and 12 are the setbacks on Billerica Street. And what we did is the average of those 5 setbacks are 13.2 feet. So we just went to 13.3 feet, thus needing the relief to the required 25 feet, which would bring us to 11.7 feet relief on the front setback. The other thing that a benefit is of that is I know in other districts we're trying to keep the houses suitably up near the roadway. These will all have individual walkways to Billerica Street, and that'll allow us to not disturb as much area in the buffer zone to the wetland area. This project will fully comply with the Massachusetts stormwater regulations, so there'll be full drainage on the entire property. All the roof drains will go into dry wells, and the pavement areas will go into subsurface drainage systems. I got the comments from DPD, and I don't know if you want me to walk through these comments or whether you want DPD to walk through these comments.
No, I appreciate it. You're aware, if you just want to touch on each one briefly,
Sure.
just for the record.
Yeah, so the first comment is that we need to go to Conservation Commission. We'll be going in front of the Conservation Commission this upcoming Wednesday. Butters have been fully notified for that hearing. Yes, this project does require a special permit for the 3 dwellings. It should be noted, this comes up as a comment later on, that this project could sustain 11 units on it. So you could do a garden-style building on this property if we wanted to. We understand, number 3, that the 2 buildings do not meet the setback, hence the reason why we're here before you for a variance. Yes, we'll be bringing individual plastic recycle bins and trash units down to the end of the street. And if need be, we could even provide a little area off to the side that's more suitable for leaving those units if need be. We have submitted a stormwater report. I know the city engineers are probably reviewing that as we speak for the Conservation Commission meeting. They were there to witness the test pits that we did out on the site. If the board would like, we don't have a problem putting in 3 street trees along in front of the property. That's not a problem at all. This project will be a condominium, so there will be a condominium master deed to facilitate all the maintenance of the plowing of the road, the maintenance of the drainage facilities, sewer, water, and any other agreement that would be necessary for these 3 units to coexist on one parcel. Yes, this building will not be within 50 feet of a wetland. There's mention of the state building code in regard to distance away from buildings. I went through the code before this evening, and it's not specific the distance away. As you know, in Lowell, you can have buildings 6 inches away, and all has to do with the fire rating between the combustible units and the next unit. The units are 40 feet away. I don't think that that's going to be any issue at all related to this, but it will have to go through the review of the building commissioner. So these units will comply with building separation to the state building code. And number 10 is this is a less dense project that one could do by right. As I mentioned before, you could do a single structure upwards to 11 units, providing that you have all the parking that's necessary. But you could put one singular unit on this property as of right, actually. But we felt as though this would be a more marketable project, fits in with the neighborhood, and you know, that may be something we would explore later, but right now this is where we're intending to go with this project. I do know that Mr. Daly is here, if he wants to add any comments to this.
No, I'm good. I think you're doing a great job.
So I can leave it to the board if there are any questions.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a little mic problem here. That being said, moving forward, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? Good evening. You could sign in, state your name and address, please.
Heather Monahan. I'm here on behalf of my father, Leo Monahan, Monahan. He lives at 38 Clifton Street. And my dad is a double amputee who is ill tonight, so he asked me to come in from Westford just to say that he's opposed to the condo. And he was among more than a dozen neighbors who came to the last meeting before they were told that the meeting was canceled. So I know personally that people are upset about it, and they haven't been filled in. But his opposition was specifically because of the water, the drainage issues, that he feels already that Clifton Street has a number of drainage problems already, being so close to the river, and it only gets worse as you get close to the corner. He's farther up the street. And there's a minor, he feels an issue with traffic in the neighborhood because there's a number of children and elderly people on the streets. That's about it. If he'd appreciate it, his comments are in the record. Thank you.
They certainly are. Thank you for coming down. Any others wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. We're going to open it up to the board member for comments and concerns. Mark?
Well, I think I should reserve any opinion I have with respect to the project until some of the comments that the DPD has, the planning board has suggested, namely the approval of the stormwater plan. I think we would all agree that that's vital. And the other item I had noted, it's a condo association, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. And the suggestion is that not to build any of the proposed dwellings within 50 feet of the wetland or the body of water. How many feet are you away? Yeah. All right. Well, that certainly seems satisfactory, right? Why, with that being 58 feet away, why was that a concern noted by?
I'm not sure it was a concern as much as it was just a reference. This is going before the Conservation Commission, and I think that would be more discussed at that meeting. But it is a section in the zoning code that there is this 50-foot buffer, so I think it was just being recognized.
Okay. So, confirmation approval, and then an approval by the, approval of the stormwater report, I think would be very beneficial to the future of the project, right?
Yeah, I can say that this project's going to meet full compliance with the stormwater management guidelines by DEP. The board can most certainly condition a decision based on that. But it's going to be a significant improvement from currently what was going directly to the wetlands untreated and a portion of it going down into the road. So we're going to have full treatment for all the stormwater.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mark. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a few questions, but before I say anything, I just would like to just thank the Daily Group and his fine civil engineer for doing such a great proposal here. I can't think of a better way of solving development on this site than such a low intense use of 3 single families that are then combined so that they enjoy the full benefit of the whole lot as condos. So I think that this is a tremendous benefit to development on this site, and we're replacing a single-family house with a garage and a single structure with a driveway and no stormwater management system at all, with 3 nice structures that would also incorporate appropriate grading and a stormwater management system. So it's a benefit, as far as I see, as far as what we currently have on the site to what we're going to be proposed to receive here if we go forward with this. So I just am thrilled. And the architecture of the houses themselves is outstanding, I think, for that area. But it's a great location. I think right on the river, it's prime for this kind of development in my mind. I had a question regarding the width of the driveway. Am I reading 32 feet? Is that correct? Or is that 22? 22 feet? 22, okay, maybe, much better. The text is just kind of tight here. 22 sounds great. I thought it said 32, and I was like, why would we ever need something that wide? I love the fact that you have the parking garages behind the properties so that you have the streetscape preserved with porches and pedestrian area. One note I'd like to see revised is an elevation for the rear property that adequately shows what you're actually building, because I think you showed the driveway, garage, entrance, and the front bay window, and so it's different than the other, and I'd like to see, did I miss that? Maybe I missed it.
Elevation here.
Perfect. You know what, I hadn't seen it. That's exactly what I was hoping to see. Great, great, great. It looks very nicely resolved. Very, very nice structures. And I like the fact that you've got the finished floor pulled up high, so you're about 9 feet plus above the height of the river, or the height of the river at maybe flood stage, so there seems to be adequate accommodation for these structures to be successful. The height of the grade for the parking area, is that relative about 2 feet below, about 107? I couldn't quite figure out what you were depicting for the roadway elevation. Do you know offhand?
I sure do. Okay, so down at the road, we're at 104.3. We're going to come up in grade up to this area here.
Mr. Hammer, can you just talk into the microphone?
So down here, we're at 104.3. We're going to come up in grade to a catch basin here, which will be a low point at 105.5. And then to continue grading up to where this would be a point grade outside of the slab for the garage. So there'll be a swale system that'll come around from each side that'll all go to this catch basin.
And what's the garage elevation entrance there? Is that about
107.
107, great.
Yep.
That's what I was hoping for. Okay.
It's 107 here, 107 here, and 107 in the rear.
Because I think the existing grade in those areas is a little less, so there's actually going to be a little bit of fill brought in.
We're going to
do
pick it
that?
up a little bit.
Yep.
We're
Great.
making sure that the slabs are 2 feet above
Yep.
seasonal high groundwater.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
And then the subsurface stormwater management system that you have
Yep.
is going to be adequately raised above any.
Feet above the seasonal high groundwater.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to have a condition that you get approval for Concom, but I can't see how that would, well, anyway, it is what it is. I'd like to have a condition also that you work with DPD to develop a landscape plan to show at least the 3 street trees along Billerica Street, and that you receive approval from the city engineer for stormwater management system. But that's all I had. I think this is a great project.
I'd like to also note that we do have comments from DEP, of which they did not have any comments posted on their website, although we will be obviously going through
Right.
any and all the comments from conservation.
Right, right. And the projects that Mr. Daly has done in the city have been outstanding, so I can't see this one not being any less so. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kind of answered my concerns too, because actually, first of all, I want to thank Ms. Moynihan for showing up on behalf of her father, raising some of the concerns, which one of them was the drainage issues that could occur down at Burka Street, and by explaining the grading onto that and how it's coming down to the catch basin. I think that kind of had helped some of my concerns about, some of the neighbors' concerns is, it's a really great project, and, it's looking forward to seeing it come to fruition. The land is, needs to be restructured, and so this seems like something that's, I know Mr. Daly's going to do a fabulous job, as he does with many projects that he does throughout the city. I do second Dennis's conditions on that, especially with I think one of the comments was having trees put in front on Barica Street, and try to work with DPD on that landscape plan. So otherwise, I think it's going to be a very great project, and I wish you the best of luck. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. I wanted to just mention that I actually did speak to Mr. Moynihan personally. He called my office. Yeah, we played a little phone tag, but I spoke directly to him. This is an interesting area of the city. You get the Concord River. A lot of times next to these bigger rivers, you're going to have large sand deposits. So the water is moving through that soil pretty readily, unrestricted. And we also have a nearby perennial stream that comes down a block away, also feeding to the Merrimack River. So the water's moving through the sand. Our project will detain the water before it gets into that sand, so it will be a reduction in the time it takes the water to get into the groundwater. So, but unfortunately, that water does move through that sand, and there's nothing you can really do about that aspect of it when it gets seasonally high in the spring. So.
No, you're correct. It's a very unusual, area of where you're at with the river there and everything too. So, but again, I think it's going to be a fabulous project, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Mr. Hammer for a great presentation, very detailed. And I appreciate you kind of going step by step of the comments from the city and addressing each, like 10 comments. You essentially state that you're gonna, comply with all the comments, with the drainage and getting the approval from the Conservation Commission. And this project makes sense, I think, in this area. It would fit in. Hopefully, I also want to thank Ms. Monahan for coming in. The issue of drainage, hopefully that's been addressed. But Mr. Chairman, through you to Mr. Burns or Ms. Alvarez, have we gotten any reports from the engineering department in terms of concerns to traffic or increase like safety concerns because of this project?
We haven't. Typically, we view no comment as no issues, no concerns, so that's where we are for that.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. So Ms. Monahan, hopefully that will relieve your concern with traffic congestion. I don't think there would be that much of an increase of traffic to really burden the neighborhood. But I know Mr. Daly and the Daly Groups, they've done amazing projects in the city, and I think this project would be amazing too. So thank you for coming, and thank you for always investing in the city.
Thank you, Van. Philip?
Good evening. Actually, it's a nice project. My concern is, are you going to have separate garbage dumping container, or it's just?
They'll be separate, individual. So each garage will essentially have the 2 plastic bins that are typical for a residential unit in the city, and they'll bring those down to the end of the drive for them to be picked up by traditional trash pickup.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking probably you're going to have like one dumping container for all of them,
No.
so which will infringe on.
Yeah, no, we won't do
okay.
that.
For Ms. Monahan, Ms. Monahan, yes. About the traffic, how busy is that area? How busy is the area most of the time?
Mrs. Monahan, can you come to the podium, talking to the mic, please? Thank you.
Hi. It's a small neighborhood, pretty well packed, a lot of working people, a lot of cars, often parked double side on the streets because there isn't enough driveway space.
Okay,
Does that help?
yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, well, my concern was, you say it's busy, then you have elderly people there. So I was just, that's just my concern about.
I guess my dad's thought was that people cut through to get to their homes and so forth, and there's a lot of children and elderly people walking because it is so quiet, but that means people can kind of race through there.
Okay, all right,
That was his thought anyway.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Philip. As you can see, the board is appreciative of your detailed plan and outlining all the concerns from the comments from the city. And, as always, your plans are prepared. The daily group continuously comes in front of the board, well-prepared, with good projects for the city. I was happy to hear that you made mention of the ability to grow and go in a larger scale, up to 11 units. But it's typical of the daily group to put something that's appropriate with green space, thinking of the city and so forth. The roads will be maintained by the condo association, so it's one less sweep and drive for the DPD, and coming with sanitation. I think all those have great benefits. Addressing the stormwater and all the concerns that the board members had. I'm looking favorably over this project. So that being said, I have no other comments. Any other comments from board members in regards to the conditions? If the clerk will just convey those over and then read them into the record.
So the following conditions, we're looking at approval from the Conservation Commission, working with DPD on a landscape plan, including the possibility of 3 trees on Barica Street, and work with the city engineer on a stormwater plan. DPD landscape plan, yep.
Great. Any other comments or concerns? Yes, Patrick's will have 2 separate votes, correct?
Yeah, for the special permit and the variances.
Thank you. With that being said, may I get a motion for a special permit at 205 Barica Street?
Okay. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZB 2017-45 for 205 Barica Street. Applicant is the Daily Group for a special permit to construction of 3 single-family dwelling structures under section 12.1C with the previously mentioned conditions.
May I have a second?
Second the motion.
May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with conditions.
Member Peck,
Approve the conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve with conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Briere,
Approved with conditions.
Member Jamina.
Approve with conditions.
So
Thank
your
you.
special permit has been approved. Now moving forward to the variance, may I have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, on ZB 2017-45 for 205 Barica Street, I'd like to make a motion for a variance under section 5.1 for front yard setbacks to remain, it was 13.3 feet. Front yard setbacks of 13.3 feet, again, with the previously mentioned conditions.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second?
May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with conditions.
Member Peck,
Approve the conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve with conditions.
Member McCarthy,
Approve with conditions.
Member Briere,
Approved with conditions.
Member Jamina.
Approve with condition.
Thank you very much.
Variance has been approved
Have a Merry
unanimously.
Christmas.
The best of luck to you and the entire Daily Group in this project. Moving forward to new business, ZB 2017-49 for variance, Stephen McLean at 34 Fisher Street. The applicant is seeking variance approval for the extension of a driveway at 34 Fisher Street. The project seeks relief under section 5.3 for landscape open space, section 6.1.10 for off-street parking dimensional requirements, and for any other relief required of the Lowell zoning ordinance. The subject property is located in the traditional two-family zoning district. Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Bonner. I'm co-owner. I'm Stephen McLean's girlfriend. He unfortunately had a heart attack last Saturday. He is in a coma with a significant brain damage, loss of oxygen to the brain. He was too long without oxygen to the brain. He had a massive heart attack with the main artery. Now I'm in charge of this property, and I don't know what to do, if I should even continue.
He's midstream in this. He's got awful lot of paperwork that's here, and pictures of the place before he started and while he's in process and things. He's got some of this ready. You must have some of this paperwork on your side. But,
This
we
is
need
our
some
first
help to try
property.
to
We
see if
worked
can push
together.
this through.
We bought together and started working on. He's there every day. Obviously, that didn't help him, his
Right.
health, and this is, what it led to, and unfortunately,
You're in a
he's in a
situation.
coma.
Well,
Very
first
bad
and foremost,
situation, right.
we wish him the best in health. My first thought is family first and health is first. And coming into this, if it's not something you're prepared to do and you may need some time, it might be in the best interest to continue till after the holidays. That'll give you some time to keep your petition open, free of any negative result. Give you a continuance, and then hope all goes well.
Right, I don't,
with Mr.
Steve
McLean.
knows everything. He's the brain of
No,
everything that's going on.
I don't know if it's gonna be any different later, so I think we should pursue this to a certain point. You tell us where we're at on your side.
If you could, excuse me, if you could just state your name and your address.
Kevin McLean, I'm Steve's younger brother.
His brother.
Yeah, and I was involved with this project.
Okay.
Again, he's ill, and he's done this part of us, like, we're coming in horses midstream in this.
Okay.
He really was doing this, we don't know anything about it, but he had an intent, there's an issue here. I need to know what we need to do to suffice you guys.
Okay,
What do we need to do to make this work?
fair enough. So,
My recommendation, understanding the situation, and I probably would suggest you may want to get a continuance so you can get an idea of what's going on.
So am I supposed
I
to?
think it might be in your best interest. Just
Yeah, but what do we need to do to make any more clarity? Do I need to go get an engineer involved in this, or like, you know what I
well,
mean? What's the next
I
step?
presume you haven't spoken to I'm sure Mr. McLean, Stephen has been speaking to.
Incapacitated.
He's been speaking to Department of
Right.
Development
Yeah.
Services.
I
So
don't know what level, in other words, on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know if you got 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 9.
as the chairman said, I think family first. You may want to consider
Yeah. So
getting.
do I just not consider putting in the extension of the driveway, or just obviously just put it off right now?
well,
That's
I think in fairness to you, I think if you afforded yourself the continuance, what that'll allow you to do is to become familiar with DPD. They can bring you up to where Mr. McLean was at this point. Then you can satisfy your questions and answers through DPD without being in front of the board and making it part of the record. It protects you and helps you because it allows you to use the services of the city employees. We have a wonderful DPD department, and that they'll be able to walk you through the process of exactly where Mr. McLean is at this point, where the project may need to go, and then help you answer any of those things. It'll be easier for you than, and you don't want to harm yourself or put yourself in a position by coming on the record when you're not prepared because you don't have all essentially your homework done. And I think
I know I
it'd be a
should
good
have called to cancel it out.
I think it'll be very satisfactory for you, the petitioner, the city, and Mr. McLean, the city residents. I think it'd be well for the board as well, because then we can really have an understanding where you're at and what capabilities that you have to move forward. And it'll allow the DPD staff to fill you in and help you along with the process. Because that's the ultimate goal, is that you have fair and due process to government and access to what you have a right to.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Before, I just want to make a comment if I could.
Certainly.
In reading the comments, I don't know if you got a copy of the comments from DPD, but if you go through the comments, it appears that you possibly could do the 2 parking spaces by right
Okay.
without seeking any relief if you make the parking spaces to code, which is 8 feet wide versus the 9 feet.
8 feet
And
wide.
put 2 spaces versus the 3, which provide for the structure.
Right, I read that,
So
so
you might want to
rather
work with DPD just to understand
DPT, okay.
why it's important for you to go forward with something more than what's required, or if you want to just back off and do something
Right,
more
I think
modest.
it just makes sense with the 2 parking spaces, because the point is more green space too,
I think you're right.
Right, okay.
Just
All
to,
right. We'll be
just-
in touch.
just to clarify, and this can happen with more discussion, but they would still need a variance for landscape open space. Because
Okay.
it's any change, like even if there was just 2 spaces, you'd be
But it would be-
decreasing the landscape open
But it would
space.
be certainly a lot less
Right.
impact,
Right. It just wouldn't
especially
be
in a
right, right.
dense area like that with so little green space to mitigate drainage issues.
Right,
It's
right.
important to have as much as possible, so
Okay,
that's all.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes,
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
thank you.
Just before you go, we need you to be in agreement that you are looking for a continuance, and I can offer you a couple dates. The choice is yours, so you need to convey that to the board. We cannot impose on you a continuance, so
Okay.
if by choice, that's your choice, and you,
Um,
Sooner? You want it sooner than later? I would say
Probably
yes.
sometime in January.
okay, we have January 8th, 2018, and January 22nd, 2018.
The 22nd. I'm sorry.
22nd?
Mhm.
Okay. So that being said, as it relates to matter of a variance at 34 Fisher Street, the petitioner has requested a continuance to our January 22nd, 2018 meeting. May I have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, on ZB 2017-49, property location at 34 Fisher Street, applicant is Stephen McLean, requesting a motion to continue the matter to January 22nd, 2018.
May I have a second?
Second the motion.
May I have a roll call?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve the condition to continuance to January 22nd, 2018.
Member Peck,
Approve continuance.
Member Callahan,
Approve continuance to January 22nd, 2018.
Member McCarthy,
Approve continuance to January 22nd.
Member Briere,
Approve continuance.
Member Jamina.
Continue, approve the continuance.
So you are continued
Okay.
till January 22nd. Please, reach out to DPD. They can give you an exchange of phone numbers and
Okay,
anything you need
great.
from them. They'll be very helpful with you.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
What time?
Yeah.
Same time, 6:30.
6:30.
Yeah, we always go on at 6:30.
All right, and
No.
have a good night, thank
We
you.
wish you the best of luck. Moving forward with other business, there is none, there's no minutes for approval. That will end our zoning board of appeals 2017 hearings. The new year right upon us, this is our last meeting of this year. I'd like to just take a quick moment to extend our thanks to former Chairman William Bailey and member Mike Pallia for their years of service to the city of Lowell. They both left on their own resignation and did not seek another term with the board, but their experience and their knowledge to the board and their commitment to the city is well respected, and we wish them a healthy 2018.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, also on a point of personal privilege, I just want to second your comments. As former Chairman Bailey, great leader, great advocate on the board, and also member Paglia. So I share sentiments. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. And I wish to extend both our new members a healthy 2018 as we move forward as a new board. Almost fully addressed at this point. We need one more, but good things are happening within the city as we fill these boards, and as committed citizens as our new board members continue to come and partake in government is always a positive thing, and coming into the new year. Any other comments from our board members?
Yes.
Philip?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody for, you've been very helpful to me, encouraging me to stay on board. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And through you, Mr. Chairman, I too would like to thank Chairman Bailey and Mike Paglia for their great service that they provided, and you too, Mr. Gary Perrin, for your wonderful service as the new chairman, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Also, Mr. Chairman, I want to say the same sentiments. You've been a great chairman and great leader on the board as well, so thank you, sir, for all your leadership.
Thank you very much. Wish to extend to our DPD colleagues a safe and happy holiday. We appreciate all the work that you do throughout the year, preparing for each meeting, not only our meetings, but all the other public hearing meetings that are in the city. Your efforts and your commitment are not going unnoticed. Trust me, I hear it throughout the city that how well our department is doing, and it's being run by youth, so it's a good thing to see all the young, energetic professionals committing themselves to the city. Thank you very much. I wish everybody a happy holiday and a safe, happy new year. That being said, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
Second the motion.
Meeting is adjourned.